Hey everyone, Walter Crosby with Helix Sales Development, your host for Sales and Cigars. Got another fun episode today. Jordo is our guest. He's from DropFunnels, founder, CEO, and actually very involved in the organization. We have a great talk about integrity in marketing, integrity in sales, what we really need to be doing when it comes to customer service and our approach, how we should operate, sort of our operating system and our core values. He gets into a little bit around how he differentiates why DropFunnels is different. I learned some stuff about speed and loading up pages. So it was a fun conversation. We have a special. He made a special offer for our listeners to be able to go in and try out. So if you're looking at trying to build a funnel or you're looking to build a funnel, they have several programs where you can do it yourself, do it with you, do it for you, and high integrity, really good people. I encourage you to jump in there and take a look at that link in the show notes. So go grab a cigar, go grab a cocktail, strap in for another episode of Sales and Cigars. So Jordan, welcome to Sales and Cigars. I appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule to jump on the podcast and so we can talk a little bit about DropFunnels and get your perspectives on marketing and sales. So
yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Walter.
So what I kind of want to start with, you engage with at different points at different levels with sales organizations, and I'm just your observations about you generate opportunities, you generate leads for sales organizations, and I'm just curious if you have any insight as to if you give them 100 leads, how many of them they're able to close. I mean, is this being wasted? What's your take on sales organizations in a general sense?
Yeah, boy, I think there's really two different types of sales. I'd call them active and passive. Active sales, obviously being scaled sales teams, whether they're internal or external sales teams. Passive, very much being, like having webinars or video sales letters that can convert automatically. Passive, for the reasons I'm about to describe, is far and above. If I could just do that all day without sales teams necessarily, I think anyone would go through that. And I think unfortunately, I have a ton of respect for really ethical salespeople, people who enroll people to the right thing at the right price point and serve people at the highest level. So I have a ton of respect for that. But the whole sales industry, and I'm in the sales industry really in terms of digital marketing and sales, it's really gotten kind of a bad rap. And because there's a couple bad actors that spoils a lot. And so, I found that generally we've got a small internal team, and those are some of my favorite people. I've also experimented with some outsourced sales teams for ourselves, where we'd be driving leads into an outsourced external sales team. And the results are always half of what an internal team can do. I think there's a certain buy-in. I think there's a certain attitude or ethic surrounding people who have some skin in the game with that organization versus outsourced teams that they are working multiple leads, multiple offers at the same time. They're not exclusive. They do tend to work hard. They're hard workers for sure, but they'll cherry pick the easiest possible sales. And again, I'm being a little bit obtuse and a little universal in that sense. But I think the moral of this story generally is I think the very best, highest, and most well-intentioned sales team would be someone who would be internal, or who at least has an internal mindset into the vision and mission for the company, because they serve customers better. They put them into the right offers. They give them grace when they need grace. They help them at any stage instead of just enrolling and saying, okay, I'm done with this person. And so I think it's always a balance. I mean, if I were to send 100 leads into an internal salesperson, they'd close at 50 or 60%. Every time I do that to someone who isn't ingrained into our culture, into our brand, into our values, really our values, it's at best 20%. And like, these are people who claim to be sharps.
Yeah, to me, and I appreciate what you're sharing, because it fits with what we see. Elite salespeople, it's about 5 or 6% of all salespeople on the planet, right? Not just in the States, but everywhere. So, and those people are are unique in that they're really trying to help, right? Because that's what sales really should be about. We should be trying to, is our offering a fit? Is it going to solve a problem that that prospect has? And if it doesn't, we should not be trying to put a square peg into a round hole. That's how we get this bad reputation. Um, and so I agree with that part. And the other part that you talked about was culture and core values and a mindset. Like if you're not living the company story, you're not really part of that organization and really into it, it becomes more of a challenge to be able to relate and do those things. It's almost more transactional. We're worried about the outcome rather than the process and making sure we're a good fit. So it sort
Mm-hmm.
of validates what the research that we do, the things that we see. I talk to two or three CEOs a week, and they struggle with the idea that if we put leads in front of them, the even inside sales organizations, they're struggling. Some of it is skill, some of it is that this mindset. They're going to close what they close on those inbounds, and they're not going to really worry about it because there's enough of them coming through. So it is like on a golf
Mm-hmm.
course. The longest distance on the golf course is the 8 inches between our ears. I think it applies to our roles in sales that we get in our own way more often than not. Um, so let's talk a little bit about drop funnels, and then kind of go into what your perspective is on the industry. You have an offer for our listeners. Um, we can maybe cover some of that here in the next few minutes. So can you?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so generally, I'm not the type who does any hard pitches ever, and so really, I don't have anything. There's nothing for people to generally buy. If people are growing their business, if you're growing your business online using digital marketing strategies, Drop Funnels is an all-in-one solution to let you build your sales funnels, digital courses, sales pipelines. There's a built-in website and blog because it's all built on WordPress. WordPress powers 34% of the entire internet, and it's the number one ranking factor inside of Google to be built on that infrastructure. So because you can do that all in one, you can rank all of your content for free organic leads and sales. We're the only marketing platform all in one that can really help you to rank faster than any other system. And also the page speed. This is another important part of digital sales in general, is that your sales pages need to be loading quickly, and specifically under 3
How does
seconds. And if it's more than
what
that, then
causes that to slow?
yeah, go
Because
ahead.
I've noticed that just through my searching around. What is that? Is that the design of it? Is it they're not using WordPress, or they're using it
Sure.
badly?
Yeah, so I mean, WordPress is a code base. It's an infrastructure. There's lots of infrastructure. Ruby on Rails. There's old school static HTML. There's a lot of code bases, but WordPress specifically is built for speed. It's intended for that. But so there's two sides of the coin. There's the infrastructure, and on our side, we're 50% of that equation, which is that it's a very fast infrastructure with a global, what's called a global CDN network that essentially takes your sales page and delivers it to something like 56 servers around the world, so that anytime someone pulls up your sales page, you can get to them really quickly. So that's part of that, is being on a strong infrastructure. The other side is, yeah, it's true. No matter what infrastructure you're building or platform to build your sales funnels or sites or any of those things, you really have to not build it like a monkey and make it this like 20-mile long page with 100,000 images and scripts and embeds and all these things. Like every asset you have on a page is going to naturally slow down your page. But we've seen, for example, there's I won't mention the name, but some really top name entrepreneurs who are using other funnel systems, and their funnels are loading in something like 20 to 30
Wow.
seconds. And so I imported them directly into Drop Funnels and got it under 3 with no optimization. If you optimized it, you'd be closer to 2.3 seconds or something like that for pretty sizable pages. And so no difference in the content or the context or the look or feel of the page. It's just on a better infrastructure. So that's why I think it's one of the primary things that people overlook, but it's one of the most critical aspects you should consider when choosing a
Well,
platform to build on.
if you just think about people's
Is speed,
patience, right? 20 seconds for something to
right?
load. Um, no,
They won't
they
wait.
won't.
Yeah, you'll lose. Amazon found for every 100 milliseconds. In their case, they're obviously a massive brand. every 100 milliseconds of latency, they'd find about a 1% decrease in conversions. If it's happening to them, it's happening to us too, right? And so that's huge. So actually, if anyone is interested, you can get a free trial, test it out for yourself, go build yourself a page and test the speed for yourself. If it's faster than what you're doing now, you're going to make more money, period. It pays for itself. And so that's at dropfunnels.com/sales and cigars. As a little gift for everyone here, you can get a free trial to it. But for us, I think the biggest thing is really consider the infrastructure that you're on, no matter where you're at.
Yeah, I appreciate that offer. The listeners will get a chance to take a look at this and be able to take it for a free ride, right? To go test drive like a car.
Sure.
How much? So that the speed and the infrastructure is one of the differentiators. One of the other things is that some people are technically challenged. With I'm the last year of a boomer, right? So my daughter refers to me, like, whenever she wants to take a shot at me, she calls me a boomer. She does more frequently than she used to. But I mean, literally, I understand things to a point, but I don't want to. I kind of focus on the things I'm really good at, and the things that I can be effective and get an ROI on. So is part of the platform where there's support to get the done for me kind of a service?
Yeah. So I'd say really briefly, there's levels to this. I always say, don't do the things you don't want to do or that you're not good at. I'm not a coder. I'm not tech savvy. That's why I built DropFunnels. I wanted a system that I could do this without coding or any of that. So, there's always a learning curve to any new software or tool or platform. If you move to a new city, there's a learning curve to any of that. So I always say, embrace that and say, look, if I believe that this is going to really help me go where I need to go, I just pick, do I need to do it or do I need someone else to do it? So there's a couple options. Us as a company, we actually build sales funnels for people, totally custom from scratch, build it right into their account so people can connect with us if they want. We also have some certified experts who've been certified in DropFunnels at the highest level, and they're able to help. So there's lots of support there. But even if you're going to do it on your own, people rave. In fact, these guys are probably what make me look so good is how great our support team is. I wouldn't be half of who I am if it wasn't for them. They're the true shining stars of the organization. And they just go above and beyond for everyone from anyone's tech level. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're at. They're going to support you and help you.
So they're not like calling the bank for support on something. They're happy to talk to you and work you through it. That's a nice.
Yeah, I have a standing rule of 24 hours. Like that, you never submit a ticket and not get really what you need within 24 hours. That's my ultimate.
My bank is switching, right? They got purchased, so there's a transition going on right now. And I spoke to this lady yesterday because I was having a technical difficulty, and it was just like, hello, right? It was just this, like, there was no energy. It was like I was bugging her, and to me, customer service. Everybody's in sales, but the customer service people can make or break a company, and you giving your people a shout out is that's a big deal to really appreciate your people. It says something about your culture, and then being able to train those people to do a great job technically, but it's also mindset, right? That's a big piece of it. They know they're there to help people. That's awesome. So maybe that helps us transition into one of the things that I noticed when I was doing a little bit of research was we have a similar view on integrity and delivering what we say we're going to deliver, like almost over delivering. And what's your sense when you're out there looking at competition and just in your space in general? Is it sort of like sales where there's a problem there? Is that a real thing?
Boy, it is kind of a dark piece of content, but everyone who hears this particular conversation, they find it to be quite riveting. That there is a dark side, and without going into specifics of names and who's guilty of this, there's absolutely not only data and privacy theft and manipulation of customer data. But there are particular people, and we've seen this happen. We've been in these organizations and seen this happen, that for example, if you choose a particular platform and then someone buys something from you on your checkout, the company is actually pixeling and selling to your customers. And we see this type of manipulation happening time and time again. But it's even beyond, even let's pretend someone doesn't care about data or their customers or any of that. Let's presume that that's off the case, which I think is a full stop, hard no for me. But let's say that's not the case. I think just even as marketers have tried to hone in on conversions and just only go for the dollar, and the dollar is important, but I think you can't take it with you when this is all done anyway. So I'd rather have a good relationship with people and have a good name than to sacrifice that for a brand. But even these, for example, like a countdown time of these fake countdown timers that like force you to feel like there's some fake scarcity or something. I'm not into that. It's almost like you go to a car dealer and they say, I need you to take this car today. And if not, you don't get to buy it because someone's going to come buy it tomorrow, but there's not really somebody there. It's like, why do we have to be skeezy and slimy? We don't.
You're right.
And the people, I think it's the people who are winning right now are those who do that above and beyond mindset and treat people well. I've got probably the lowest chargeback and refund rate in the industry, probably ever. It's next to zero. I mean, and it's just usually cases where someone got double billed and we're like, okay, we'll give you the other part back. Like happiness and satisfaction, especially across the board. It's just so important to me that we do things ethically and to never steal or sell people's data or market to your customers or pixel them and, do digital advertising to theirs. There's so many technical kind of skeezy tactics being used right now that every time I see it, it's like, man, why does that have to be the case? And if you wouldn't do it to your own mom, why would you do it to other people? And you don't have to do that.
Still would do it to their own mother and family.
That's just not
wrong.
good.
I don't think it's unique to your business. It happens and there's bad actors everywhere. But what I think is particularly bad with the technology, I mean, I remember the first time I was sitting at a bar with a friend, and we were talking about a particular company, right, where you could buy prescriptions at a discount for people that didn't have good insurance, or even if you have insurance. And I remember my phone was sitting on the bar. We were having a great conversation, and the next day I see those ads, popping up for that company, which, redirect, everybody's doing that. I get it, but it freaked me out that just like what else is going on that I'm not aware of. And some of the things that you mentioned, it's a scary thing. So, whenever I look online, there's nothing free. If you're getting something for free, then you're giving them something that you're not aware of, right? Your data, your privacy, whatever that is. Am I wrong on that? Is that a real thing?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would even share a story on that. I've got a good friend who's a fairly high ranking. I mean, he's way out of my league, but a fairly high ranking at Amazon. And he even says that he would never put one of those devices in his own home because he knows what's going on there. And, I think if that's the particular mindset of, and look, there's some things we can't get away from. Like our phones are always going to be listening to us. It's that is the price you pay for having cheap phones and cheap cell phone service and no other alternatives because of monopolies, that you don't have any other options. But, I feel like even if some of those things are in play and they end up becoming universally accepted, I think us as marketers and salespeople especially need to constantly consider people's choice, right? Is that we can make a diagnosis of need and make a prescription just like a doctor would, but the doctor's not going to shove the pill down your throat, right? And force you to do something or say, hey, this is the last pill. You better buy it. By the way, it's triple the price. Tomorrow it's going to be quadruple the price, and any of these types of tactics. So I think from both an infrastructure perspective, but also generally the morals and ethics, like I want my 3 boys to be exceptionally proud of not about how much money their dad makes, but about how well I treated people, even if that means I made less. Right. And I think that that's a recipe for a
Yeah,
happier life.
it's about integrity. It's not just your brand. Your face is on the website, right? It's you as part of this. So
Yep.
it's not just the brand, it's you. And I have a similar approach to my business. And I will I will sooner not work with somebody and forego revenue, 6 figures of revenue, if I don't feel that I'm a good fit, that there's this person isn't committed, is a variety of reasons. But if it's not there, it's not there, and I'm not going to force it.
Mm.
Um, and your children, right? You want them to be proud of you, and you want to be the example for how they should live their life. It's just it's too short. It's not worth it to me to be manipulative and dishonest. It's just wrong. But all the technology just makes it easier because you're almost some of these people are faceless, um, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't make that connection. It's sort of like the fighter pilots in World War II. Like they never saw what happened on the ground, right? They just went out and did their thing and then came back, and the destruction that occurred. War is terrible, but I mean they never made that connection, and I think there's some of that goes on. People just behave badly, and they don't see the consequence of it, and it's a real thing
Mm.
that it. I don't mean to get on a soapbox, but I think integrity. We only have our reputation, our brand, and it only takes one thing to create a problem for us. If we got it, we got to be
Mm-hmm. And like, look, it as a caveat to that, it doesn't require you
right.
to be perfect. I mean, I think people are far more forgiving and gracious and willing to give grace, especially if you have that attitude. It's like within the best of my ability, I'm going to go above and beyond for you. It's one of my core tenets. That but it starts with the best of my ability, and my ability is always improving and increasing. I'm getting better every day. I want to beat myself, my version that I was yesterday. But with that, yeah, I mean, I still make mistakes. I still screw things up. Sometimes I'll type in a message in Slack to somebody and it just comes off wrong, and I didn't intend it that way, but it's part of the deal. Or maybe someone on my team enrolls someone who is definitely not a good fit, and I mean that has happened. It's rare, but it can happen. And you end up needing to try to rectify the situation as best as you can. But you don't have to be perfect. You don't even have to try to be perfect. But you can say that you're going to stand for something.
In owning your whatever happened, right? If something went sideways, big or small. Um, I always believed that if I did something in a position when I was working for somebody, I wanted to be the first one in the boss's office, if you will, to say, "Hey, I screwed this up." And I mean, I have a particular memory where I went into a particularly grumpy boss that I had, super smart. I learned a ton from
Mm.
him. But I remember I would knock on his door, went in his office, and I said, "Hey, I screwed something up. I think we're going to lose about 5 grand on this deal." And he's like, "We?" Kind of like this accusatory "we." And
Mm.
I'm like, "Yeah, we. You're not going to pay me a commission. You're going to take it in the shorts on the devices. So, yeah, we." And he's like, "Sit down." And we had a 45-minute chat where we figured out how to solve the problem, how to give the customer what they wanted for us to be able to um, get back some of those dollars because of some other things that needed to be done. But what was probably the most important aspect of that is that I got his respect, because instead of him finding out about the screw up, 3 or 4 months later, I mean, I owned it, I brought it into him, and we figured out a way to solve it. Um, and, you know, benefit of the doubt going forward, because we all screw up. It's just part of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I appreciate that. Especially as your organization gets as big as yours, it's hard to maintain that. So kudos for going there,
Mm.
especially in your all the challenges. So what I'd like to do, Jordo, is kind of wrap up here with, is there anything else you want to say about, um, the business, or is there another way? I'm going to have all this stuff in the show notes, but um, drop funnels. Is there something else that our listeners should know about?
No, I've always kind of been of the opinion that I want to earn people's business, earn every dollar, that people pay us. And I only want to earn it or take it if it means that you get 10 times the value. It's my 10-to-1 rule, is that generally at any time you give me $1, I want to ensure that you get $10 worth of value back in every possible interaction. So we got a great Facebook group too. You can search DropFunnels on Facebook and find us there. And I'm probably the only CEO. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'd say I know for a fact I'm the only one of our size where the CEO comes in and personally answers questions, jumps on calls with people if I need to. It's probably to my own demise that I'm spending so much time serving people at that level and answering questions and trying to go, right? Trying to help them out.
Keeps it real and keeps you with your finger on the pulse.
Yeah, it makes me, I'm very in tune with where people are and what they're struggling with, and it helps us to improve the platform and to improve our operations and all of that. So I always like to be very ingrained. But yeah, I'd say if someone wants to jump in and give it a shot, contact us. If you're not the technical type and you just want it done for you, we can connect you with someone who can do it for you, or we can do it. And I'd just say it's like, do whatever it takes to win and to help your customers have a great experience at the same time.
So we'll have the special offer that you were kind enough to do for the listeners in the show notes. So please take advantage of that. And I'll roll that out in some social media as well. So let's wrap up with my favorite questions. I'm always curious if a guest has a relationship with cigars, a past relationship.
So yeah, I actually used to have actually it started out when I turned whatever the legal age was. I actually never smoked once until that day. I've always been very much kind of to a fault. I've been a rule follower. I've been very diligent about that. So I think it was 18 or whatever. So had my first cigar with my older brother, and that was a great connection there. And every once in a while with my dad, it was a great bonding time for us to go to the garage and enjoy a cigar together. I've since, I think for probably both of our sakes, kind of only done it maybe twice or 3 times a year or so. But my primo cigars, I really love the CAO Brasilia.
Wow, big cigar.
It's one of my favorites. Yeah, I like the bigger ring size, slightly darker. Nothing so far down as like the acid brands or something crazy like what the teenagers smoke. But like very smooth all the way throughout. I think it's just brilliant. I think what everything CAO puts out is amazing, but that Brasilia was a special one.
That's a big boy cigar, well constructed, always good draws. It's a little outside my palate, but that's a great cigar. And to me, it's one of those things where even if it's once or twice a year, it's usually a special time or there's some reason to do it, make that connection with a family member. And I know it's not a healthy thing. I know it's not popular, but I think there's some value in you spending some time having those kinds of conversations with friends and family over that cigar from time to time. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, what do they say? It's all things in moderation, right? I mean, if your health starts to suffer from anything, I mean, if it's from eating bad food, if it's from not working out, if it's from bad mental health issues, it's like, well, address the issue, but certainly I think all things in moderation that you decide is going to be right for you. I think go for it, especially if it means you can draw closer to people.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, let's land it there. I really appreciate you taking some time, and this was fun conversation. Appreciate the offer to the audience, and best of luck to you. Thanks.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.